I want to remind you what I was saying. We can't afford a commander-in-chief who insults POWs, who attacks a Gold Star mother, who actually talks down to our troops, says he knows more than our generals. Even a Republican senator said we can't afford to give somebody like that the nuclear code, somebody so erratic.
The moment started off almost too quiet, like nothing big was about to happen. The cameras were rolling, the studio lights felt warm, and the audience was expecting the usual clean, polished conversation about leadership, power, and where the country is headed. And there was Barack Obama, calm and relaxed, almost reflective, while Donald Trump, watching from a distance, looked confident too. Like someone who genuinely believed he'd already handled everything that could come his way. But underneath all of that, you could feel the tension building because this clearly wasn't going to stay a normal political discussion for long. And then Obama began, very softly, easing into it by talking about leadership, responsibility, and that idea that truth doesn't disappear, it just waits.
Here's a 78-year-old billionaire who has not stopped whining about his problems since he rode down his golden escalator 9 years ago. It has been a constant stream of gripes and grievances that's actually been getting worse now that he's afraid of losing to Kamala.
Even when powerful people spend years trying to bury the truth, he didn't come off angry or dramatic, and honestly that's what made it land even harder, because he spoke like someone calmly laying facts out on a table one by one, not chasing applause, just saying what needed to be said, and you could feel the whole room leaning in. Like everyone already sensed where this was heading even before Trump's name was mentioned. And that quiet build-up made every word feel heavier, more deliberate, and then Obama shifted slightly and said, "The American people deserve honesty, especially from leaders who demand trust while hiding how they operate."
A president who replaces career prosecutors with loyalists who will do his bidding, and now he's telling them to hand over millions of taxpayer dollars that he had to pay in expenses for previously violating the law.
He went on to say that some men build their entire careers on spectacle, on noise, on performance, hoping that if they're loud enough it'll drown out the questions that actually matter, but sooner or later that performance starts to crack, and when it does, it's not the slogans or the spin that count, it's what was really happening behind the scenes when no one was watching. And at that point the studio didn't even feel like a show anymore. It felt more like a courtroom where every word carried real weight, and when Obama finally said Trump's name, he didn't sound angry at all, just disappointed, and somehow that made it hit even harder.
Each day we wake up to some new assault. Each day we're told by those in high office to fear each other and to turn on each other, and that some Americans count more than others, and that some don't even count at all. Everywhere we see greed and bigotry being celebrated and bullying. We see science and expertise denigrated while ignorance and dishonesty and cruelty and corruption are reaping untold rewards every single day. We see that.
He talked about deals that were presented as big wins but had something darker underneath, about promises of transparency that somehow kept turning into secrecy, and decisions that might seem harmless on their own but start to tell a completely different story once you connect them. And the whole time he never raised his voice or threw out loud accusations, he just kept that same calm, steady tone, which somehow made everything he was saying feel even more serious.
Last administration left us nothing. The Obama administration was a disaster, and they did polling on how did they do, and their polls were so negative, so bad. They did a very poor job, and they did a poor job on a lot of things. They did a poor job on our military. They did a poor job on our ammunition. When I got here, we had no ammunition.
He just calmly connected the dots, carefully, methodically, like someone who knew the truth didn't need theatrics to hit hard, and miles away Trump was watching it live. At first, there was a smirk, a shake of the head, some quiet little insults thrown at the screen, like he thought he could brush it off. But as Obama kept going, that calm, measured delivery started cutting through the surface confidence. Trump was used to loud critics. He knew how to fight loud, how to counterpunch, interrupt, overwhelm, but this was different. There was no chaos to fight back against, no opening to exploit. Obama wasn't attacking in the usual way, he was dismantling everything piece by piece. He said leaders aren't measured by how often they call themselves strong, but by whether they can stand in the light without fear of what that light might reveal. He said the public had already seen too many moments where image came first, country second, and truth last. And each sentence landed clean, every pause after Trump's name louder than any shout. The audience didn't clap, didn't laugh, they just listened, completely still. Meanwhile, Trump wasn't calm anymore. Reports later said he was pacing, raising his voice, frustration spilling into anger, grabbing his phone, typing, erasing, starting over, and nothing seemed enough. Nothing could match what was unfolding live. Obama had turned the whole moment into a question of tone and credibility, and Trump could feel it in real time. Then Obama shifted from general to personal, saying, "The most dangerous thing about power isn't always open corruption, but the belief that people can be distracted forever while the truth waits just out of view, and there are moments when a country must choose between performance and principle, between slogans and honesty." Then he looked straight ahead and said, "A lie can dominate a headline, but it cannot own the truth forever." The room went completely silent. Trump reportedly reacted with fury, shouting at the screen, lashing out, which only made the contrast starker. Obama hadn't overpowered him, he'd exposed him by refusing to match noise with noise. By the time the segment ended, the audience wasn't cheering, they were stunned, like they'd just witnessed something shift in real time. This wasn't a debate anymore.